We happen to have a panel of 3 amazing CEO goddesses and a goddess moderator, so we thought it was time to celebrate. Yay!
Welcome to our Social Innovation Meet the Entrepreneurs. I'd like to introduce our moderator tonight. Vicki Saunders is a senior advisor with the Social Innovation Group, or SIG, at Mars. She has co-founded and run 4 ventures in Europe, Toronto, and Silicon Valley, including Zazango, which is an online platform for consumer and employee engagement focused on sustainability. Kids Energy, the Energy Group, which went public on the Toronto Stock Exchange in 2000, and Impact Nation, a global consulting firm focused on engaging youth to tackle the grand challenges we are facing. In 2001, Vicki was selected as a global leader for tomorrow by the World Economic Forum. We're delighted to have her tonight because she has spoken regularly at events around the world, including the World Economic Forum in Davos, Women of Influence series in Canada, the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurs events, and the Talbot Forum. So welcome, Vicki.
Thank you, Carrie. Well, we're going to have fun tonight. Does anyone have any idea why we're wearing these? Guess? So for the people that are on the web, we're wearing these pink boas. Today is 12/12/12. The Mayan calendar ends, and it says that we're entering a new, more feminine age. Yay. And by chance, we happen to have a panel of 3 amazing CEO goddesses and a goddess moderator. So we thought it was time to celebrate. Yay. Lots of women on stage. Expect more of this in the future. Okay, I'd like to call up our 3 CEOs tonight. Desi, Kayla, and Izzy, come on up. So we're going to start with stories. Instead of reading bios, I'd like to ask each person to just tell a little bit about their personal story, and then we'll get into their business next. So Desi?
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. So my name is Desi. I'm actually the CTO of a company called GreenGage Mobile, but we're supposed to be talking about personal stories. So I started out, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, like ever since my high school days. And I thought long and hard about what my first venture would be and what I would do. And I went on to do engineering at Queen's, and then I became a software developer for several years. So I had this 9-to-5 job that I absolutely loved, but I always had this really this need to be an entrepreneur, to build my own thing. So finally I found what I was looking for, and I jumped in, and I mean, I'm sure we'll have some good chances to talk about this later on, but if I had to say one thing about it, I think it's just if you're in the audience right now and you really feel that need to jump in and do something on your own, it's good to just get out and do it right away.
Cool. G'day, everyone. How you going? How you going? Good. Woo. Excellent. So my name's Kayla. Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. I'm from Mississauga. Not really. I'm from Australia. So my story. I first started as an entrepreneur at the age of 10. My dad owned his own business. He owned a bearing business, and I negotiated with him to buy some O-ring, little black O-ring rubber sort of wristbands from him at cost, and I took them to school and I sold them and I made a profit. So that was my first memory of being an entrepreneur. That didn't really go so far, although now I look at all these rubber wristbands and I think I maybe made the wrong decision. I should have stuck with it. Moved on to a variety of different businesses as I was growing up, and I really had a passion for business. I was lucky to have my dad there, and I watched him go through the trials and tribulations of being a small business owner. So I saw what not to do and what to do. I studied business at university, and then the way the universe works, I fell into being an actress. So I ended up becoming an actress back in Australia. I was on one of our biggest soapies back there, a show called Neighbours. I don't know if anybody knows it, Coronation Street. So I forgo my dream of becoming an entrepreneur in the pursuit of becoming an actress. A couple of years later, I met my business partner back in Australia, and I'd been doing some work with kids in schools performing And I really had a passion for performing, and it was a really weird moment because I was on this TV show. I achieved this dream at like 22 of being on one of the biggest TV shows in Australia, but I just wasn't happy. As a side job, I was doing some performing with kids, and I realised that's really where my passion lied. And at that point, like I said, I met my business partner, my current business partner. He was teaching sports in schools. One thing led to another, and we'll get into this later. I ended up in Canada with him because of a job opportunity that he had, and we created our business. So I merged my love of changing kids' lives, my love of performing, with his love of teaching and his love of sports. And we created the Aussie X. So we've been here now for 4 years, and I'm a proud new Canadian. I love Toronto. I love Canada. And yeah, that's my story in a nutshell.
Hi, my name is Izzy Camilleri, and I am a Canadian fashion designer. I also started very young. I started at about 10 making clothes for my dolls, and then that turned into making clothes for my friends and finishing everybody's home economic projects. And then in high school, I did the high school play and went on to a fashion design school. I went to Sheridan in Oakville. And once I got out, I ended up doing this. I was chosen to participate in a fashion show, and it was in Hamilton, and I didn't really think much of it, but when I got there, there was all these top Canadian models that were modeling it, and they really loved the clothes that I had, and so they ended up buying a bunch of stuff. So I hooked up with them about a month later, and I gave them the stuff they ordered, and then they started introducing me to photographers and retailers and makeup artists, and so at 19 I became I had my own line and my own business, and that was about 30 years ago. And so I continued on and went through a lot of ups and downs, and I was very green because I was very young and made a lot of mistakes along the way. And being a Canadian fashion designer has its challenges. So because of the population and I was doing very high-end stuff. About 9 years ago, I met a woman named Barbara Turnbull. Not sure if you guys know who she is, but about 30 years ago, she was shot during a convenience store robbery in Mississauga, and she became quadriplegic from that shooting. Today, she's a journalist at the Toronto Star, and I built quite a strong reputation for myself with my label, like my designer label that I was doing, and the fashion editor at the Star recommended Barb should call me because she was looking for something specific to be made. And then I met Barb, and I was so blown away by her and the challenges that she had with clothing. And so today, I can go into it more later, but so today I have a line of clothes for people with physical challenges. And I have an online store, and we have clients as far as Australia. So I know we're supposed to talk about myself, but I'm kind of, when you're an entrepreneur, your business is you. So, and I'm a mom, I have 2 kids. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thanks. Desi, do you want to talk a little bit about Greengage?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the CTO of a company called Greengage Mobile, and at Greengage Mobile, we are super passionate about sustainability, and we're really passionate about creating a difference, allowing individuals to create a difference for sustainability. So we know that there's a lot of momentum in the enterprise for sustainability, and companies are really jumping into this now. They're spending a lot of money on it, and they're really doing a lot for their community and society. Some companies are going after big energy reduction strategies and a lot of environmental aspects of sustainability. And then others are really focused on health and safety, their employee well-being, and overall health. So what we do is we found that only 12% of employees at an organization are usually engaged in sustainability strategies. And that's been a real challenge for companies, because if a company is going after a huge energy reduction strategy and only 12% of their employees are taking part in that, they can't really reach those goals. So my co-founder used to be a sustainability consultant. She had to go out and get employees engaged in this, and she had trouble doing it because of the lack of tools. So she'd have to physically get people in a room and use all kinds of antiquated tools like Excel and email and things like that. So it was challenging, to say the least, for her. So that's how GreenGage came about. We're building software for companies. We have a web platform for managers to manage all of these. So a lot of companies have corporate responsibility managers, sustainability officers that have to manage all these big goals. So we have a platform for them to send out messages to their employees' mobile devices. And we make it really fun and engaging and exciting for the employees, so they're always competing. And our current clients right now, they have employees that are really kind of almost at each other's throats competing over all this stuff, so it's really fun. They're actually really getting engaged, and we have engagement rates up to like 70, 80% in companies, up from about 12. So that's our software platform.
Great, thanks. Kayla, why don't you tell us a little bit about AussieX and where you're going next?
Thank you, Vicky. So AussieX, like I said, we merged, Emil, my partner, and I merged his love of teaching and sport with my love of really taking kids and youth from a place of conflict to a place of happiness. So we moved to Canada and we created AussieX. So AussieX's ultimate vision and mission is to condition physical activity as a basic daily routine for all people. So we have a youth program that works in schools, and we also have a corporate program where we work with companies and corporate teams. Our youth program, we've been running that for the last 4 years. We're throughout Canada. We're in Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto. We've seen a lot of kids. We didn't think it would be as big when we sort of first started. We didn't think it would take off so much, but we've seen over 137,000 kids now through our program. And we go into schools and we teach Australian sports programs. And really our goal is to take away that intimidation around getting active. So we really just want to make it fun for kids. You know, we want to see the least engaged child in the phys ed class smiling, sweating, and getting active all at the same time. We have big dreams of where we want to take this, really big dreams. However, we started small. So you probably all have heard of the lean startup philosophy. That wasn't around 4 years ago when we first started, but I really think we utilised a lot of those lessons, and we sort of chunked it down so small to come up with Australian sports programs in schools, teaching Aussie rules football. Who'd have thunk it? So where we're going next is basically leveraging the success of what we've already done, utilising the lessons that we've learned along the way, and we're actually now integrating our physical education program into a technical platform to make it much more scalable. So I'll probably talk a little bit more about that in the future.
Great. So Izzy, can you tell us a little bit about your clothing line? Because it's really innovative, and how you sort of came up with those ideas, how you solved those problems.
Sure. After meeting Barbara Turnbull, I started understanding the challenges that she had with clothes, and I didn't even think that someone in a wheelchair would have any issues with clothes, because we're all sitting down, everybody practically in this room, and I didn't realize that when you're sitting full-time that regular clothing just doesn't work. Or in Barb's case, she's paralyzed from the neck down, so she can't move any of her limbs. So she needs to get help to dress, to eat, to use the washroom, to be showered and put to bed and everything. So meeting her became an extremely eye-opening experience. So I went on to just make clothes for her for about 6 years. And I understood at the same time I was working with a very fragile individual. I at first didn't even know how to touch her. I was so careful about what I said that I didn't want to, I don't know, I just didn't want to say the wrong thing, and just wanted to be politically correct with someone with a disability. And I soon, or I started to realize that there wasn't many options out there for people like her, and I asked her to put a little focus group together for me. And so she managed to bring in 3 of her friends. So with her, we had a little meeting at her home. Everybody spoke freely about clothes, their likes, their dislikes, their challenges. And of course, all these women were in wheelchairs. And by the end of the night, everybody had such different things to say that my head was just spinning. And I thought, oh my God, how am I ever going to do this? Because if you're going to do a line of clothing, there needs to be like a common thread that links everybody together. I couldn't like customize every single piece for every single client. And that would be also very expensive. And a lot of these people don't have, you know, unlimited incomes. So I just had to walk away from that and just kind of put it on the back burner and continue on what I was doing, which was my regular line, and I just continued the custom work for her. And then one of those clients, or one of those women that were in the focus group meeting, was a young girl who had a very horrific sports accident. She was a circus aerialist, and she had a very bad fall and broke her neck in a very similar place as Barb's. And this girl had, you know, beautiful figure. She loved fashion. She worked very hard to maintain her sense of self and the look that she wants to give off. And I made her a winter coat. And coats are a very big problem for people in a chair. And we designed it together, and it looked great. And she let me know after, when she started wearing it, that she was getting a lot of compliments, and people were literally stopping her and saying, "Wow, that's a great coat." And when she told me that, I realized that I'd given her more than a coat, and that I'd given her some dignity and some confidence and some sense of who she was. And I went on to make a second piece for her. And after that, I have no other way to describe it, but I had an epiphany after delivering the second piece. And everything hit me like a ton of bricks, and I wasn't even thinking at the time about it. I was just driving down Jarvis going home, and I realized how I could make it work, what that common thread was that was going to link everybody together. And it was really just, it didn't really matter what kind of disability you had, whether you had MS or paralyzed or CP. It was the fact that your body was in this fixed position. So I needed to change my pattern so that they worked with a seated frame. So that's what I did. And today I have an online store, and I sell the clothes that I do. The clothes are being called revolutionary, and that I'm pioneering this new cut of clothes. I've had clients tell me, this one woman bought I have a long denim maxi skirt, which was very popular last year, and I try to keep the line very basic, but at the same time, people still want to fit in and wear what everybody else is wearing. So she told me that she bought the skirt. She wore it every day for 5 days, and she just had to call me, and she told me that the skirt makes her feel human again. I've had people tell me the clothes are liberating, and I can go on, but it's been an amazing experience doing this line of clothes.
Thanks. Izzy gave this wonderful investor pitch recently here, and one of the pictures that she put up is, you know, those Snuggie things that they talk about in late night TV, right? And it was like, this is what people have to wear before Izzy came along. It's really quite awesome. Desi, why don't we dig into some of the harder stuff now? So what are some of the unexpected challenges that you've faced in growing your business so far? You guys are still pretty early stage, but I'm sure there have been lots of bumps.
Yeah, so definitely lots of bumps. It's always a bit of a roller coaster, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But a lot of the challenges just come from, there's so much you want to do, and in our business, we're both, myself and my co-founder Lindsay are both, like, we really want to make a change in the individual. We want to empower the individual person to really feel like they can make a difference environmentally in their community, in health and safety, and all those aspects of sustainability. So a big part of it is staying true to your mission and staying true to your goals. And some of the challenges we've had are that we want to do so much, but there's still only 2 people at the table, and there's only so many hours in a day. So a lot of it is prioritizing, and we have some great clients, so we sort of have a clients first policy. So when we're juggling all kinds of things to do in the day, we always just say, like, if it's a client, then that kind of goes to the top of the priority list, and everything else falls beneath that. So really most of the challenges almost always stem from not enough hours in the day.
Kayla, you may have a different answer here.
Yes, I definitely second that. I think all entrepreneurs would second that. But we are a little bit more of a mature startup, being in our 4th year, or going into our full 4th year now. A major one, we've bootstrapped the entire business, so definitely cash flow has been an interesting journey. It's true that what they say, cash is king. So really it's something that I think all entrepreneurs should focus on immediately as soon as you start, is like, make sure your cash flow system is completely watertight, and learn as much as you possibly can about how to manage finances. If you think you can just outsource it to somebody else, like, to be honest, we did that with our ex-business partner, and there's a reason why he's an ex-business partner, was because we thought that we could just outsource that job to our ex-business partner and put the trust in him to do it. And, you know, in that process, things happen. If I had known more, if I knew what I know now, I would have really learned everything I possibly could around cash flow and finance in order to really be able to keep, you know, my eye on the prize and make sure I know the ins and outs of everything around the business. And that also, the other challenge is business partners. So if you're going to partner with somebody, make sure that partner is really aligned with the core vision of not just the business, but also who you are. And if it means that you're spending, you know, weeks going through a facilitated process where you get somebody external to come in and really figure out, have you guys got the same core values? It's totally worth it, because at the end of the day, if you see the world differently, you're going to come across speed humps, you're going to butt heads as you grow the business. So they were the two major challenges that we've experienced.
So Izzy, I have a different question for you, which is, what is the one thing you know now that you wish you knew then when you were getting started?
That's a really good question. Well, I guess there's kind of like what I did before and what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now has just been, it's been a real learning process. You know what, I can't even think of how to answer that.
Anyone else want to dig into that one?
What do we wish we...
Yeah. You basically just said the cash flow.
Yeah, cash flow. But the other one as well is how important... we're in a service providing industry, so we're very people-centric. If you're in that sort of business, I didn't realise how important HR is and how complicated it is. So it's definitely worth learning all the rules and regulations around HR, managing staff. And so that's something that I wish I would have known as well.
So what has been the greatest key to success so far, Desi?
I would say it's definitely surrounding yourself with incredible supportive people, great mentors, people who have kind of been through it before but are also able to see it from an outside perspective. So a lot of the time when you're in the nitty-gritty every day and you're solving all these challenges and you feel like it's overwhelming, it's good to have someone, like we have some amazing mentors here through Mars. It's good to have people come in and say, listen, this is just one more obstacle you have to cross, and it's not really that hard. And here's another perspective on it. Here's another view that you may not have taken if you were just sitting there banging your head against a wall for another couple hours. So it's really important to ask for help when you need it. Always offer help if you can. I find the great thing about the entrepreneurship community in Toronto is that people are really willing to help out. So give back to the community as much as you take, and then everybody can kind of grow together and help each other out. And really, if you're surrounded by great people who are supportive, you're going to succeed eventually, no matter what.
Izzy, how about you? Greatest key to success?
Well, determination and believing in yourself. It can be a bit of a long road, and at the same time, you want to walk before you run. And with what I'm doing, it's a very uncharted path. Like Vicky mentioned, what has been out there for this community is all geared to the elderly and people that live in long-term care. And my client can be 17 and had a wrestling accident. So they're not prepared to look like their grandmother. So and because I've been working on something that doesn't exist in terms of the cuts of the clothes, I've had to see what works and what doesn't. So if I went and cut 1,000 pair of jeans when I first started, I've tweaked that pattern ever since. So I'd be stuck with all these pants that don't fit properly. So it is better to walk before you run and just, you know, make sure that what you're doing is right and not wasteful in terms of money and things like that.
Can you tell us about the shirt with the magnets? I love
Sure.
that. It's so cool. We don't have any visuals, so I just, yeah.
Well, I'm working on a secondary line now that's not specific to people that use a wheelchair. I have had a lot of people ask me for adaptive clothing because they need it, but they're not in a chair. So even for people that have arthritis or have had a stroke or even the beginning stages of some kind of diseases, it can sometimes be challenging just to do up a button. So I've started developing a line that's very easy to put on. It looks like, again, it just looks like anybody else's clothes, but the shirt, for example, has magnets. And if I had it here to demonstrate, the magnets, you just put them close and they just snap really fast together. And you keep wanting to do it just to look at it.
That's great. Kayla, how about you? So greatest key to success so far?
I'll definitely echo both what the girls said. Definitely surrounding yourself with mentors. And my term is think big and act small. So we've got a big vision. We want to revolutionize the way physical education is delivered in schools throughout the world. That's our big vision, big, hairy, audacious goal. However, you have to start somewhere. You just start something, because if you do nothing, you'll get nothing. So we started an Aussie football program in schools. And then the other thing is as well, just ask. A lot of people are too afraid to just get out there and ask for help, or put your business out there and ask somebody for advice. We really did that. We spoke to thousands of people in that first year. And we got so many no's because it's such a random business idea. But it just takes one to love what you're doing, and then that one person tells another 2 or 3, and then the next minute, we've been in over 500 schools now. So just asking, and the power of asking is really important.
So raising money. Have you guys raised money yet, Desi?
We're definitely exploring our options, and we're in the process of exploring our options.
So how's that going? How did you decide that you needed to raise money?
So a big part of it is when you're building your business, you have this, like it's been said before, you have these big goals, and you wanna build this big lasting company, and you wanna create all this impact. And a lot of the time, in order to do that, you need to have some capital in the door in order to be able to grow faster and faster. So realistically, you could probably build a sustainable business brick by brick, but a lot of the time, it's safer and it's easier for you to bring that money in the door and hire people and really get going on a good trajectory, because then it's just a snowball effect from there. You can go and go and go. And you're never in that position of what if you have a dry few months and it takes a little bit longer to land this big key client, then you're definitely going to need to have a little bit of money just to get you through those times.
Kayla, how about you?
Yeah, so we haven't ever officially accepted money. However, we were on Dragon's Den, and we did win a deal on Dragon's Den, which is really cool. I think at the end of the day, it's important to have a track record. So if you're in the tech space, create a prototype, go out there, test your prototype, do a pilot program, get the data, and then take the data to investors and pitch what you've got. So we had to go about it a little bit differently because we have a different model. However, really, data doesn't lie. So when you can show investors, here are the results, this is the real impact I'm having, you're much more likely to get investment dollars.
So Izzy, I know that you're working on raising money right now. What are you looking for in your investor besides the check?
Well, it would be great if the investor can come to the table with experience in the clothing industry or with disability, or something where they can help build the business because they know the business. So that's always helpful. It's hard though. It's hard getting money.
Persistence and determination.
Yeah, I just figure you just keep knocking and one of them is going to open. But as I wait for that one door to open, I do other work to support what we do. And lately that work has been very busy, which has been hard because we've been juggling a lot. But the money I call those my waitressing jobs. So the money I've been making from our other work, and the two things that I do a lot for the film industry in Toronto. We build a lot of costumes for movies and television. And even not when I say costumes, it could just be regular clothes that they need and can't find, or they can't find the color they want or the size that they want. So we've done things for very, very famous people, and so that's kind of fun. And then I do a lot with MAC Cosmetics, a makeup company. They do head-to-toe looks for their models, and the work we do goes around the world. So that stuff has been kind of busy, which can be difficult because we end up sometimes having to work on that more than the adaptive stuff, and that becomes very hard. But it's actually been really good and given me the money I need, and my stress level from a financial perspective has been not there because I have the money I need to move forward because of this other work. And that's allowing me to build my business and have, just like what you're saying, if I can build my business more, then when I approach an investor, I'm in a stronger position. So I won't have to give up as much to the investor because I'm stronger. So the longer I hold on, the more I build my business, and maybe I won't need an investor, which would even be better. But the investor would help too.
Got it. So inspiration is often a challenge when you're, in the early stages of your business, trying to get things going, and again, there are always tough times that come along and then great moments. So how do you stay inspired?
The key really for us to staying inspired is, I think when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be in a space that you're passionate about. So you're gonna have bad days and you're still gonna have to get up out of bed in the morning and do something about it. And we get up every day because we love our space and we want individuals to make a real difference in their environment and community. And we wanna do that through companies who are also trying to do the same thing. So it's really key to really believe in what you're doing and know that even if it's a tough day, you're gonna get up and go. And again, with the business partner side of it, you have to have that partner that feels the same way too. So my co-founder studied sustainability. She worked in sustainability for years. I did engineering in school, but then did a thesis in sustainability because that was my passion. So if you want to start a business that's not really your passion, it's going to be tougher to get out of bed, and it's going to be tougher to have those hard days. So it's really key to be in a space that's right for you and that makes you smile.
Yes, agree again. Well, I think I'm very lucky to be in the position I am because it's not hard for me to look around at our user stories, and I'm inspired immediately when I see the 100, 200, 300 kids like smiling, laughing and getting active. So I'm pretty lucky in that respect. However, in those times when it's really been tough and we've really come across some major hurdles, and we've definitely had a fair few of those in the last 4 years. I think that really connecting to the gratitude or being grateful for the journey and being able to be an entrepreneur, it's not an easy road. It's a really hard life to live. However, I feel really grateful to be able to live that journey of being an entrepreneur. My sort of catchphrase and something that I always say to myself is, the journey is the dream. So I'm not trying to get to a destination. It's the journey of growing the business, which is what really inspires me. So I look at all these speed humps and I shift them and I look at them as massive learning opportunities. And I'm really lucky at 26, 27 to have learned all these lessons. So I think gratitude is really important.
Izzy, how about you?
Well, I agree that gratitude is very important, to be grateful. And my biggest inspiration right now is my clients, because the gratitude actually that they then give me is huge. And just knowing that I'm impacting lives, I'm changing lives. I helped someone get a job because they looked and felt great in what they were wearing. I often, the clothes are even secondary. The product is secondary to what it delivers. So I stay inspired through the work that I'm doing, and I feel that I'm putting my talents to some really important work, and I'm grateful to be able to do that too.
Desi, one of the questions I want to ask you is really around the changing tech landscape, like how crazy the pace of change is. BlackBerry, what's happening with BlackBerry, Apple. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on with your business, deciding which platforms to be building on. How do you deal with the pace of change?
I mean, a lot of it is like that's the nature of software, and that's the world that I lived in for a while. So you just get used to it, and you really have to have people around you. Like we have some partners that have been doing some development work for us, some software development for us, and you really have to have people that are used to that. So you want really curious minds that are excited about the change, so they're going to see something changing and they're going to want to try out this new tech and they're going to want to jump right in and get into it. So you have to surround yourself with not only those supportive people I was talking about earlier, but people that are really adventurous. I think you have to have really curious people in tech in order to keep up with that.
Cool. Kayla,
Yes,
so my question for you is really around opportunity. So I know that you see tons and tons of opportunities around you all the time. How do you pick which ones you're going to focus on and stay focused on those before you move on to the next? Because that's really critical, right, as you're building your business.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Vicky.
We just went off script, so she's like,
and that is also one of our biggest challenges now, having this growing business that's actually done so well. We have so many opportunities. Doors are being swung open, especially through the whole Dragon's Den experience. We look at a whole range of things. So we have an analysis model, essentially, to look at all the different opportunities. How much time is it going to take? How much impact is it going to have? What's the potential profit? What's the timeline in order to make that profit? Put all those opportunities up against each other, and then also call upon our advisors to weigh in on what our gut feelings are. We really rely on our advisors to come in and give us that expert advice. And then in the end, you just, like I said earlier, you have to pick something. So we do, and we test it out, but we're also very structured in and around putting project timelines against our opportunities. So we will select an opportunity and then we'll give it 3 months. And then we'll have really clear, measurable outcomes we want to achieve in order to analyze the success or the not so successful opportunities.
Great. So Izzy, what do you see as some of the biggest opportunities for you in the next 5 years?
Well, the good thing for me is that I hardly have any competition. So that's a huge bonus. But, you know, there's a reason why there's no one doing what we do, because it's very hard. And I think, too, that people don't look at this area as fashionable or sexy. So it's given me an opportunity to let people know that anybody can look great, anybody can look sexy. The biggest thing for me right now is the aging population. So, and I didn't even think about that when I started this, but when I did, you know, a lot of people were like, wow, you know, your timing is great because of the aging population, and I didn't even think about that. But that's a whole group of people that are aging, that are going to have dexterity issues, that may become seated, as I call my wheelchair-bound clients. So there's other opportunities in terms of products. I know that shoes are a big problem for people. Undergarments are is also difficult for people. So there's so many different lines of clothing that I can get into, as well as children's wear. I don't do children's wear. First I started with women's, and I have men's wear as well. But I get so many parents calling saying, you know, my son is only 8, and you know, do you have any clothes for 8-year-olds? And I don't have that yet, because that's almost like a whole other business. It's a whole other line of patterns. It's a whole other business. And so there is so many opportunities with what I'm doing, because it's so uncharted and no one is really addressing it.
Desi, how about you?
In terms of, so I think you always have opportunities that are going to seem enticing, and as long as they are true to your vision, you can definitely table them. So we always have our overall grand vision and our mission, and if an opportunity comes along that's tempting financially but is not that true to your mission, you're probably going back to getting out of bed in the morning. You're probably not going to want to get out of bed to do that. So really you have to take the opportunities that are going to accomplish your overall mission and then prioritize from there. And for us, it's always, if our clients are successful, then we're successful, and then the employees that are part of their organization are more sustainable and they're making a difference. So if an opportunity presents itself that helps us accomplish that, then we'll table it and then prioritize from there.
Kayla, how about you? Next 5 years?
Ooh. For AussieX, we are going to transform the way physical education is administered in schools. So our next opportunity project that we're working on is taking what we've learned in our in-school programs and creating a daily physical education solution for teachers. It's a plug-and-play solution that uses a technology platform. It's physical activity delivered in short bursts, so 3 to 5 times throughout the day. Kids are going to get up in the classroom and get active, utilising the things we've learned around how to engage kids in getting active. So it's not about being sporty, or it's not about doing phys ed classes. It's just about movement, and movement to improve energy and stillness to improve focus. So it's a combination of the two. So that's really our big, audacious goal.
Okay, so we're going to just go across here. So one piece of advice for the budding entrepreneur in the office, in the room, sorry.
So I would say absolutely, if you want to be an entrepreneur, and like myself, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, if you're waiting to learn something new and you think that in a year you'll be more prepared, you won't be, because you're faced with so many crazy, hard challenges, but it's all doable. And if you're thinking of doing it, the best way to do it is just to jump in, and you won't regret it, because if that's what you really want to do, you're not going to want to turn back from there.
And don't take everything so seriously. You know, laugh once in a while, have fun. Like, this isn't meant to be hard. This is meant to be a fun journey. So any opportunity you can find, like, laugh and smile more. And it's going to make you feel good in the morning when you get up and you're like, wow, I get to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to keep it really simple. Yeah. How about you laugh once in a while? No.
Izzy?
Well, my biggest thing has always been believing, and believing in yourself. You know, don't lose sight of the goal. There's going to be a lot of obstacles along the way, and, you know, there could be days when you're thinking, what am I doing? This isn't going to work. But just keep believing. And I also think, like, when I started, I was 19, and as much as, you know, sometimes it is good to jump in, and sometimes it isn't good, because you can make a lot of, like, you can make costly mistakes. I think if I had worked in some fashion companies beforehand and kind of, you know, got the ropes and got the systems, and, like, the thing about fashion, it's a very beaten path, and there's a set way, there's a buying time, you know, there's different buying times in the year, and you need to be in sync with all that, because if you're not going to sell anything, because if you go in when the buying season's over, they don't have any more money. So you could have just spent $20,000 putting a line of clothing together, and no one wants to buy it because you're too late. So I think it's important to learn the industry that you want to get into, and believe in yourself.
Can I just add something onto that? Yeah, tactical, just a little tactical. Surround yourself with people in the industry and get a board of advisors. That's crucial. Like, go and find 10 people that actually, like, you may be not connected to them now. Pick up the phone and call them and just ask, I'm starting this vision business. Would you have 2 hours to spare so I can run some ideas by you, half an hour to spare, whoever it is, and then see if you can collect a group of people to be your advisors at the very beginning. Important.
Great. Any other parting advice before we go to questions? No? All right. So we're going to open it up to questions. If you could just, we have people online, so if you wouldn't mind walking over to the mics to ask your question, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Kayla, I have to ask this.
Uh-oh.
And forgive the stereotype. first time I saw on a sports network Aussie Rules football, it looked like a combination of Ultimate Fighting, a human demolition derby, no padding, spiked shoes, and by the way, they had a ball to make it look like a sport.
That sounds about right.
And you're going to now, if I'm a parent of a child who's told, oh, you're going to learn Aussie Rules football?
Yes.
I'm going like, okay, how is your teaching a little different from the stereotypic view of that sport?
Yes, we do teach a very modified version. Very modified version. And in fact, to be honest, what we do, it's not really about the sport as such. The sport just levels the playing field. The accents is what's engaging. Really, what we build our entire program around is our 3 core values. One is have a go. So we just want the kids to have a go. You might think that you're not good at sport. Well, just have a go at something new. 2 is good on your mate. So the energy you give off is the energy you get back. So you want to celebrate with your mates, support your teammates. And the 3rd one is you little ripper. So you little ripper is a celebratory term. It's basically if you do something, or if you have a go, then celebrate having a go. So yes, we do a modified version of the game, but it's more about the core values.
I think one of the things I really like about that is it's just, you can imagine kids in an elementary school hearing all this weird language and going, have a go? What do you mean? And like they just all of a sudden start laughing and mocking, right? So I think there is something interesting about it.
Just a question from the webcast. Sorry, I'm in the corner, so I know you can't see me. What is your vision for growth in your companies? Is it something that you want, this is for all the panelists, something you want just to be across Canada? Do you have global goals? What would be the perfect size for your business?
So we have very, very global visions just because sustainability is, to people, it's such a huge, big problem that they don't know where to start. So I think if we have our software used by every big company in the world, that would be ideal because that just reaches more people and gives everybody a little tangible piece that they can play in the whole global challenges that we're trying to solve and face.
Of course, we'd love to take it everywhere around the world. However, we are a little bit more focused on North America right now in the next 5 years for our core business, core in-school sports program. X Movement, the technology platform, is another story. We also have a charity, a not-for-profit, so we work at-risk regions around the world. So we do some charity work in Kenya and India, and with some Aboriginal nations back in Australia, and also some native regions in Canada. So, yeah, I mean, for our core business, it's more so North America.
And for us, we are online, which has been amazing, and especially for my client, a lot of them are online. It's an easy way for them to communicate, so we currently just organically have been selling globally, and to continue to do that and to keep gaining more clients is our goal.
Great. Alison?
So thank you all very much. So last week I had a cup of coffee with Arlene Dickinson. And so I said, you have to find out about this really cool panel of really cool women that we're having at Mars, because I know she's very into that. And she goes, who's on the panel? And I said, Izzy. And she goes, oh, I love Izzy. Who else is on the panel? Kayla. Oh, I love Kayla. Desi, she didn't know you, so you have some work to do. But my question is this. What do you guys do, and what would you tell this group about just making those critical contacts? And then I want to come back to Kayla, and I would like you to say a word about the School for Social Entrepreneurs as well. Okay? So, Izzy, maybe you could start. So just, how do you do it?
Well, a lot of it, I guess, it's a lot of networking, a lot of, and sometimes it is just about picking up the phone and just calling someone if you want to get to a certain person. Sometimes it could be just a series of circumstance that leads you to, like, for example, like Arlene Dickinson. I've never been on Dragon's Den. I have no intention to be on Dragon's Den. But I really wanted to meet Arlene. And out of all the, I didn't want to be in front of a camera trying to convince these people of what I was doing. But there was just something about her that that I felt, you know, if anybody, she'd listen and understand in a more compassionate way. And so I thought about it for about a year, like how would I meet her? And then I was involved in a fashion show for the Stephen Lewis Foundation. And he partnered up with a couple of Toronto designers who were doing a fashion show to raise money for his foundation. And we received this printed African beautiful fabric. Every designer got a different piece, and we were just allowed to do whatever we want with it. And some of the designers had models modeling their stuff, and some designers had local celebrities. And so Arlene happened to be modeling that night, which I didn't know until we were all there getting ready. And at that point, I was kind of tired of the typical high fashion model. And the year before, I had Julie Black, who's a Canadian singer. I don't know, there was something I needed to really change it up. So I got my 8-year-old niece, who's got a big head of red curly hair, and she's cute as a button, and I thought that she'd be perfect. So when we were backstage getting dressed, Arlene was talking to this other woman, and they were oohing and awing over Bridget, and that's how I got to meet Arlene. But the whole night I was thinking like, oh, this is so not the time or the place. And she was really nervous because she'd never walked a runway before. And the dress that she had on didn't fit the greatest because she wasn't in town for fittings. So I ended up helping her pin it up and look better. And so the show happened. You know, there was a bit of a little reception after. And the whole time I was thinking, oh, this is so not the time or the place. Got our coats on, and then I thought, okay, I gotta do this. So I went up to her and I said, it was nice to meet you. And then I told her what I was doing, and if I could meet her for a coffee or something. And she gave me her email address like nothing. And so we've been talking. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of partnership there, but she's been great and a great mentor. So sometimes it's circumstance, or just go for it.
And I'll add on to my Arlene Dickerson story. Obviously, we met her through the Dragon's Den experience. However, we didn't have the opportunity to really meet her one-on-one. So at the end of the pitch, I saw like the window of opportunity to go straight over to her, look her in the eye, introduce myself, and just really connect. I didn't get the opportunity to swap emails or anything like that during the pitch. However, brings me to my next point. It's persistence and determination, because I really committed to connecting with Arlene because she is such an inspiration as a powerful woman in business. So I followed her up via Twitter. I sent her a few tweets and emailed her, and a couple of months later I finally sort of got connected, and we managed to schedule a phone meeting like 3 months out from that. So that was a year and a half ago, and since then I've seen her numerous times, etc., and just continued to build the relationship. So yeah, it's about persistence and determination.
I think too, one thing I'd like to say is that, you know, people that are celebrities or anything like that, they're just human like you and I, and they, you know, they're just people. And if someone, you know, if they don't want to engage in a conversation with you, at least you tried. And, you know, it's okay to hear a no, but, you know, you just never know until you put it out there. But they're just people like you and I. And they, a lot of times too, and we keep going back to Arlene, but Arlene had very humble beginnings. And so it's great too when you meet someone like that who knows exactly what you're going through, and because she was there. And those are the kind of, you know, successful business people that I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to someone who's inherited a bunch of money or knows a bunch of celebrities or, you know, got all that kind of endorsement. I want to know the people that started the company from the ground up, because they know where you are now.
There's also oftentimes something that you can offer them. So when you think about, when you're building a business, you think about your value proposition to whoever your clients are or your users or whatever it is. But when you want to meet someone, you could really have a value proposition for them. Maybe there's, even if it's just an interesting article that you think they might be interested in that you want to share with them via Twitter, that would be a good option. Or if there's some other event that they haven't heard about, or even a little tidbit of information, something you've come across, always reach out because people are very receptive to that. And again, like people are helpful, they want to help you, and you should be willing to help them as well. So a good way to do it is to really reach out and say, hey, I have this value proposition for you. Here's something that I can offer you from myself.
Great.
So yes, I'm part of a school called the School for Social Entrepreneurs. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of the school. It's new. It's the first cohort this year. When we found out about it, myself and my business partner jumped at the opportunity because we really got to the point 3 years in where we realised we could really use some help because we're at this stage, but we know we've got all these opportunities and we want to grow and scale what we're doing. However, we need to make sure our fundamentals are really solidified first. So we got this opportunity to interview for the School for Social Entrepreneurs. Basically, it's a cohort of budding social entrepreneurs, which is a peer-led course, essentially. I encourage everyone to look it up. It's a great opportunity for next year. Like I said, we're in the first cohort this year, the School for Social Entrepreneurs. It's an amazing network of people I've met, friends that I know will be now lifelong friends. I've met mentors and have been connected to Mars and advisors that I wouldn't have otherwise been connected to. So, yeah.
Thanks.
We have a question for Kayla about sort of the pros and cons of business partners. So it sounds like you've had a successful business partner and one that was not as successful. Can you speak to a little bit about why you chose to build your business with a business partner and how has that worked and what can possibly go wrong?
Okay. I was a little bit ignorant when I first partnered with both of my business partners. One of the business partners turned out to be great. So we share, like I said, we share the same common vision, not just for the company, but for ourselves as individuals. So we're aligned in pretty much everything. We've got different strengths. I think it's really important when considering a business partner to not only look at what their core values are, but also look at, what do you need in your organisation? What are they really strong at? And find an expert in that area. So a con was that we had a friend of a friend, or a friend that we'd known for a number of years, and he was just there. So we thought, oh, you'll do. Let's partner with you. He seemed pretty good at the time, and he had developed his own business, and he'd done a very good job at that. Con was that we just didn't do our due diligence, to be honest. We knew on the surface what he did. However, we didn't go into the deeper levels of, okay, you say, you're a financial accountant or you're a financial analyst. Okay, let's see the skills that you actually have. Show me the business experience. Show me what you've already built and what you've already succeeded at. We put our trust in a friend that was kind of like a brother, and I tell you what, it's just not a smart business decision to do that. So pro, of course, is, like you said earlier, is you have somebody there to walk the journey with. And I can look back now over the last 4 years, and I've got my business partner that we actually work well together, and we have so many memories that we've shared over the last 4 years. So if you can find that partner that you work well together with, it is magic to have that.
Great, thank you.
Hi. I just want to give a big high five to whoever decided that you should wear pink boas. It's fantastic. I have a question about work environment. So I was working on Wall Street for years and came back here and started my own business and work from home, which I always thought would be amazing. And in some ways it is. But now I find that instead of working from home, I actually just live in my office. And so I'm just wondering, the pros of being able to, broil salmon while sending emails is really getting old. And I'm just wondering if you can maybe speak to, if you do work at home or if you have worked at home, how you made time and space a bit cleaner. Because I'm finding it's all-consuming of my whole life and my space.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I've done both. And Yes, it can be all-consuming. I think you need to, so if you are working out of home, I think you need to have your cutoff times. And, but at the same time, it's great to be able to do your laundry at the same time as you're doing your work. So there are pros and cons for sure, but you do get to the point where you just don't stop working. So I think that you have to kind of set yourself your hours, or if, you know, you work like, you know, a 9-to-5 type of schedule, but then, and if you do need to go back, but like go have your dinner, have a break, go do something, and then go back if you need to. I found that when I did finally leave and have, like I've gone from having a studio to back at home to out again to back at home, like I've kind of done it all. And every time, like, you know, having, like being able to leave the space or leave your home to go to work and then come home, it's good to have that separation as well. The benefits of being at home is you don't have the overhead, you don't have the costs related to it, you don't have the travel costs, you're saving time. Today, my situation is I have a showroom / store. I'm in the Junction, and it's about a minute walk from where I live. So it's really great, and I chose that because of my 2 boys. And they're 11 and 13, and I wanted to be really close to home. Before my studio, I live in the Junction, and before my studio was at Pape Eastern. So it was a long way, and you know, sometimes there's late nights, and I'd be there really late, and come home late, or go home, and then back, and then home, and so this has just been perfect, that I'm really close. I save money on gas. I don't go downtown as much. And also I organize my time a little bit better when I am going out. I try to get all my errands done, so it's better in lots of ways. So you know, the pros and cons are really hard to weigh, I would say. But in the beginning, saving the money is really great, and the time as well for traveling.
I used to, when we first started in a basement, we were living and working in a basement, I really made an effort to change everything. So when I was working, I put on my work clothes, I had my specified work area, and I had a time that I set for myself. And then when I stop work, I go and get changed, I put my comfy gear on, and I go and relax in another area. So that's really important. However, in saying that, I think it's really important, if you can, get out of the home to find a space, and there's some great shared office space out there, like the Centre for Social Innovation. It's an amazing environment to be a part of. Also, a benefit of being in a space like that is that you have people around you that are working on their businesses, and the energy that creates will motivate you like no other. So if you can, go and get a hot desk at a shared workspace, I would say.
We have a couple offices now, but we do still work from home once in a while. So what we'll do is we have separate homes, so one of us will work from one of our homes. And then what I usually do when we're working from my place and Lindsay leaves, that's when my work day is done. So we're working, and you have someone there all day to keep you motivated. It's not just like you're at home lounging. But when that person leaves, then you call that at the end of your day. And what you can do if you don't have a business partner, for instance, is if you know any freelancers or anything like that, you can work with them at the same time. Or I think the shared office space is a great idea. There's lots of spaces in and around Toronto that will do that. And I know a lot of people that even just do freelance work that do that just because it helps them get their mind into their work and then out of their work.
Thank you. Question from the webcast for Desi. Desi, when GreenGage was first started and it was trying to sell in, like do B2B sales into large corporations, how was that done? I think a lot of people really struggle to get contacts. Were you able to go into corporate social responsibility offices directly, or was that quite challenging?
So that's a great question. So the way we actually started out is we got a little bit of seed funding to build the product from a couple companies that saw this as a real pain point. And it was a huge benefit to have had Lindsay working in the space because she had a lot of those contacts. So she was able to call up the right corporate responsibility person and say, hey, listen, I did your job, and I know your pain point, and here's a solution I can propose. So that really helps out. If you don't have that fortune, then a good thing to do is just stay really close to the industry. So a lot of the time, there's whatever industry you're part of, there's a lot of events in the city. So there's tons of sustainability events in the city. There's lots of tech events, and there's lots of people there that could be partners, that could be clients, that could be mentors, or that maybe you can help out. And if make sure to, obviously there's a good balance, but make sure you're attending those events and you're there and you're really a part of it, because you never know who you're going to meet and you never know how you can do business together down the line. So go to those events, you're always selling your business anyway, so that's a great place to do it.
Thanks.
Hi, this question's for Kayla. So you mentioned that you do work in developing countries like Kenya, but your main business is in North America. And does your North American business provide the funding for you to do those developing world initiatives? And how do you choose where to go to help those communities and those kids?
So we're at the early stages, I would say, of developing our charity component. However, yes, our for-profit does raise money for our charity, for our youth at risk work. It was just by chance that we were connected to an already existing mission that was going to Kenya, and we saw a great opportunity to raise funds through our corporate partners and through our in-school programs to send some people over there to do the programs. So at this stage, it's kind of just been an opportunity that was there, and we saw it, and we really wanted to do some work in that space. So, yes.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to the lovely ladies up here. Can we have a